Court sentences policeman Bandits to death by hanging for Bolanle Rahim's mother. And later on the show, Agbakoba descend on lawyers over analysis of Chicago State University certificate saga in the media, says Supreme Court must be allowed to do its work. I'll be hanging out with Babajide Kolade Otitoju and Gani Kaide Balogun. So if you're ready, let the hangout start now. Thank you for staying with us. Justice has now come for the police officer, Drambi Vandi, who shot and killed a Lagos-based lawyer, Bolanle Rahim. A high court sitting in Lagos has sentenced Vandi to death by hanging for killing Bolanle on the 25th of December 2022 at the Aja on the bridge in Lagos. In a ruling, the trial judge, Justice Birunke Harrison, convicted Vandi for one-count charge of murder. Let's share the story by TVC News' Kemi Fola Adeyemo with you.
We must say that the judge has done exactly what he has been sworn in to do, which is the responsibility to deliver justice in good time. Justice delayed, we know, is justice denied. And in this case, justice has not been delayed, justice has not been denied, justice has been done. We're also calling on the Ministry of Justice to consider the Gafarus case, which is also a mandate of this subcommittee to ensure that justice is done.
The incident of the 25th of December 2022 would always and forever remain a tragedy to the Rahim family because it altered a lot of lives. The life of the deceased, the life of her husband, the life of her daughter, and the lives of several other people that loved her. However, justice has been served. Within the period of 10 months, the Honorable Justice Harrison has been able to deliver her judgments and has been able to ensure that justice has been brought to the forefront.
Justice done less than 2 years. This was a story that
10 months.
10 months.
Yes. When I saw that it was a woman that would preside over the matter, I was confident that justice would come sooner than later. And that is what we have seen. It's, it makes the killing all the more painful when justice is delayed. It's extremely painful to lose a woman in her prime at a time when she was even pregnant. And I just hope that even if I expect that it will appeal, somehow policemen who take people's lives in our country are convinced that nothing will happen to them, somehow. And we have a situation in which even when people get sentenced to death, the sentences are not carried out. I don't know what kind of country our own is. We keep shouting, justice must prevail. This thing. And when justice prevails, governors refuse to sign the
death warrants.
When governors even manage to sign death warrant, you'll be told another story that, the gallows in the prisons are not in functional order. So how do we
senseless excuses
get the message across to people that, look, if you take a life, you will lose your own life in return? Because we see people who take people's lives. You say they should die by hanging. They do not die by hanging. They don't even die at all. So I don't know what the problem is. If we want to be like South Africa and some of the countries of the world that have abolished death penalty and opted for life imprisonment and all that, let us amend the laws. We can't have a situation in which People get sentenced to death and they will not kill them. Either out of cowardice on the part of governors or the ineffectiveness of the prison service, or is it correctional service that they call them now? You know, I'm more familiar with the prisons. I don't like what appears to deodorize criminality. It's a prison. You know, when you hear prison, you that's not where you want to go. I'm not blaming those who have changed the name, but for me, I'm more comfortable calling that place a prison. That is what it is. Whatever, it's just a matter of semantics, whatever we choose to call it, that is where criminals are kept. Criminals should not live with the rest of us. And where criminals are kept should not be given a name that appears to deodorize the place. You know? Apologies to people who may feel offended by what I say, but...
Are they prisoners or are they correctees? Because I don't really get it. Are they now, they can't be a prisoner.
Whether they are correctees or not, they are inmates. The word inmate puts them together. So that is what they are. It's unfortunate that we have this situation, but this senior police officer was clearly unrepentant. You know, he didn't get anybody to, he defended himself. There was no witness that stood in to defend him. He defended himself throughout. And he kept lying. Just kept, oh, the bullet that they brought back, I had never seen that bullet before. Ah, this was not my bullet. You know? You've taken a life. You've taken a life. I know that a lot of people will feel relieved, but the greater relief will come when justice is served. Justice is only partially served now with the sentencing that has taken place. Justice will be served when that guy, on account of the offense that he has committed, has his life snuffed out. That is the real deterrence. The real deterrence is that. There is no deterrence in a situation in which he's kept in prison and people can still see him. The members of his family can still go there to see him because we refuse to kill them.
And the families of the victims.
And the families of the victims will continue to live in agony. And he will be there. After some time, maybe one governor will come and say, oh, because he's sober now, they will give him state pardon. That is what we face in our country. And that's why we keep breeding criminals, because somehow people believe that nothing will happen. I've seen policemen say, I will kill you and nothing will happen. We were coming from Ilorin, and he stopped us just before redemption camp. Our driver had refused to give any policeman a dime all the way from Ilorin, and it was a salad day. They kept asking him to give them money, he refused. But this particular one is as crazy as the craziest policeman you can encounter. He first said we should come down. Everybody come down. He showed us this scar on his head that it was a bullet that grazed his skull. And he said, you, give me money. We kept giving him the same kind of excuses that he had given others, that the vehicle belongs to a policeman like him and this and that. He said, I will slap you if you don't give me money. He gave him a slap. He was still reluctant to part with money. At that point, he threatened to kill him. I was the one who dashed forward, hugged him, and began to speak outside to him. Maybe he would have taken his life. I began to speak outside to him that, please now, don't do this. Forget him. Yes, he has done something wrong. You are right. It is you who is right. But don't take a life.
Ghana master.
Ghana master. He had his gun.
So you guys
you don't know.
No choice.
Yes, you don't know where he woke up from. You don't know whether he took
his mental
inebriating stuff. You don't know. You can't argue with somebody who has a gun. You have to be lucky. There's no point arguing with somebody like that, or even threatening him that you will report to the governor.
Yeah. There's a saying.
Before you get a chance to report to the governor, you may have blown up your brains.
So, GKB now, at least for the family now, and look at the number of months involved and everything, I think, to me, it's a kind of relief.
Yeah, not only to the families, but also to anybody who believes in the rule of law. Because we've come to a point that is almost unheard of, that they will charge a policeman with murder. Usually it will be manslaughter, there will be mitigating circumstances that will be brought into the case, and then before you know it, the thing will go away. Don't forget that even when the military killed policemen, it's very difficult for the civilian civilian authorities to get the police, to get the soldiers out to come and answer for these crimes. So anybody who wears a uniform and carries a gun assumes that it's above the law. And the system has reinforced that belief over the last 50 or so years. But I'm very glad this happened for two reasons. One, of course, the fact that I don't want to use the excuse that the victim was a lawyer. That was why the thing came very quickly. No. This should be able to happen to everybody else to get justice. Because you all know that in reality, once you are not part of the system, it's extremely difficult to get justice this fast. But having said that, we know that only 3 or 4 types of people that will join the military or the paramilitary agencies. Those who want to serve their country, those to whom it's a family tradition. Maybe their father was a policeman, their grandfather was a policeman. Those who simply don't have any job, and those who are truly psychotic. The man you met was truly psychotic. Because you can take a job because you have no job and still excel at it. But a man who stood his ground and said, no matter what anybody says, he's going to kill this woman. And he did. He's psychotic. I know we'll give excuses, the condition of the police, but you and I know police officers who are fantastic at their jobs, who are very reliable. The CP in Ogun State now, Alamutu, is one officer that is known in Lagos and Ogun State. The man that will pick your call and do what you want him to do. He will not pass you on to a subordinate. The officers like that. So because you know you will get justice by calling the CP, then you know the thing you deserve. Lots of them are at that level. But once you start moving down to inspectors, to sergeants, you run into a lot of problems that you cannot work. So for me, this is good news in many ways than one.
Jide, it's not only Drambi Vandi that we have in the police. We still have so many police officers that we need psychological or psychiatric evaluation, because what they do sometimes is just abnormal.
I said something before. I don't know whether the police authorities did anything about it. When SARS was scrapped, and they were all told to report to Abuja, they took their urine samples. A good number of them tested positive for banned substances.
That's one thing.
Many Indian hemp smokers, they relate even the people that they should arrest.
Yes, they go to completed buildings together.
They join them in smoking.
That's like a...
They test positive. They tested positive for illicit this thing, you know? So, why won't they misbehave? Look at the one who slapped a man in front of his family, one Adejo, a policeman with, he had one funny beard, like one ridiculous beard. He was serving in Port Harcourt. They've served him breakfast too by demoting him, you know? But he was just slapping the guy.
In front of his
Come on, in front of his wife. And how do you humiliate people like that?
Who is that?
He was an inspector. So they've was he an inspector, a sergeant or something? They demoted him. I can't remember his rank. He was,
I have a caller from Lagos. Duru is calling us from Lagos. Oh, I think I lost.
He just kept slapping him. He just kept, Adejo, you know that he's from my state. He's one of our brothers in the east, Kogi East. Just kept slapping the guy. Come on, in the presence of his family. How do you diminish a man? What is his offense?
Just because of that gun you are holding.
Yes.
You think you are supreme.
Yes, you think you are superior to everybody. You know? People that in hand combat, you can't defeat them. But because you have a gun, come on. You see, some of the kind of people coming into the police have no business being in the police. Anybody with anger issues, he should not be in the police. And if he will be in the police, he should be far away from firearms.
Yeah.
Keep him in the office. Let him be receiving people who come to lodge complaint at the police station.
And write reports. Yeah.
Yes. Don't give him a gun. It's not everybody that can handle weapons. People have anger issues. And now that things are tough in our country, it will be worse.
Umar is calling us from Kaduna. Thank you, Umar, for joining us.
Hello.
Yes, go ahead, Umar.
Yeah, this thing is happening in Kaduna also. Policeman slapping people. Hello.
Yes, go ahead, please, Umar. You're live.
Yeah, this thing happened yesterday in my state, Kaduna. A policeman was slapping a woman.
A woman, Kuma?
In front of her family. Yesterday. Yeah, yesterday night. A policeman was slapping a woman.
Kai.
He was slapping a woman yesterday in front of her family. Yes. Yes, I witnessed it myself. I was a witness yesterday night.
That policeman should be reported. They have the...
You can see blood coming out from her mouth.
Abba. That must have been a dirty slap.
I wanted to even video it, and then he was threatening me. He was threatening me yesterday.
Thank you, Umar. Thank you for that contribution. I think we have to do something to reform, especially from the rank and file.
I think it's about time for us to return policing to those who are truly interested in doing the job. Like I said, a lot of people are simply want the power that the uniform bestows on them. They have neither the skills, the human relations. I thought there was a time police was trying to work with PR professionals to make sure that the face of the police is reflected in the lower ranks. Because like I said earlier, senior officers are fantastic people. Very educated.
This one too is a senior officer now. Yeah. This one was a senior officer.
So they come to a problem that you don't know.
Not all those senior officers too that are responsible. Yeah. Some of them are very responsible. This one too was a senior officer.
I know. But we need to reorientate the Nigerian police or return them to basics that we have to do. Because it's really getting tougher there. A lot of policemen are running small rings in their corner of the country to do whatever they have to do. I know a guy that was arrested from coming back from watching football. And they took all of them, took them to the police station. And they said they were using drugs. Luckily for the boy, it was an alpha who doesn't leave his father's house. So but when they saw me, I realized I was this program. They twisted the story, brought out a bottle and said it was what they caught on him. Luckily, the boy was alert enough to ask them to do drug tests. He said he's willing to do urine tests at that point. And I called his father. The father said, yeah, let him go ahead. Then they changed the story again. By the end of the year, we went through about 17 stories. And I told them I'll call the CP. And then you will have to explain to you what the job you are doing at that point in time. And they have to release all of them. So many atrocities we can name here. But like I said, the police relations department, or whoever is in charge of psychological training, whatever they call it for the police.
Psychological evaluation.
They have a big job to do. A lot of these people don't belong in the police of a civilized
6 years ago, along the road, along the highway in Ekiti State, a policeman asked for bribe from a driver. Because the driver would not give him what he wanted, he shot and killed the driver in broad daylight. In broad daylight. And what happened? They dismissed him, but justice was not fully served because he ought to be put on trial. So that the same way he has caused a family to lose their loved one, his own family too
Will suffer the same.
Will suffer the same fate.
Yeah.
But when you let them get away with it,
They'll do it again.
you know, they will do it again.
All right. Days after organized labor suspended its planned indefinite strike following signing of a memorandum of understanding with the federal government, the president of the Nigerian Labour Congress, NLC, Joe Ajaero, has made a new demand on new minimum wage. Ajaero stated that the least paid worker in Nigeria should get a minimum of $200, citing the inflationary trend on the cost of living and the cost of living in the country. Wow. $1 now is over 1,000 naira. So
$200 will be how much? $200 will be how much? No.
Yes, in the black market, right?
Yeah. So how much would that be? He's asking for $200. He's not asking in naira. For Nigeria, he's asking that we pay them in dollars. So how much would that be?
It's not. I don't think it's
no, equivalent.
So what's the equivalent of that?
The equivalent should be like
200.
400,000.
That's 200,000.
200,000.
Yes.
Yes.
It's not a bad idea.
Minimum wage.
It's not a bad idea to ask for this kind of money, but you know in your heart that it's not practicable. It's not practicable. Even if the federal government can't pay it, that one is a fact. Even if the federal government is prepared to pay it, I know it will come with conditions. They will have to let some people go.
Yeah.
There are ministries where there are far more people than they need. You know, a situation in which you don't have more than 4 cars in a unit and you have 7, 8 drivers. What is the meaning of that? What would others be doing? The Nigerian bureaucracy, the federal bureaucracy, federal and state bureaucracies are carrying too much dead weight. And the system will be a little more nimble, a little more effective if they allow people who are surplus to requirements. That's the way they say it. So people who are surplus to requirement, if they are allowed to go. You know, every year you see what football clubs do. If they find that you are not useful to them anymore, they release you from your contract. If that is if they can't sell you. If they can see that no club is ready to buy this place, they will release you from your contract. Because when they loan you, they will still be paying half of your salary. The club that they loaned you to will be paying the other half. So they are not ready to carry your burden anymore. They simply release you from your contract. Go. I think that whether we like it or not, it will get to that point that the labor force has to be looked at again and see whether they can right size
in this day
labor force. They can right. You know, the COVID taught us a lot of lessons that you don't even need that many. Yes, because even working at home, it's not everybody, not all categories of workers that were working at home.
Some organizations,
some were not doing anything at all.
They are not back to.
Because you just find that it's not necessary. So this 200,000, he has to keep saying those things that will ginger his base, keep his people happy. Well, he knows, is this Zamfara state that even when the new minimum wage was introduced, they couldn't pay?
30,000.
They couldn't pay. There are states in northern Nigeria that didn't even pay that minimum wage of 30,000. Some were paying 7,000, the old minimum wage. So are those ones going to pay this 200,000? And if they say they want to sack workers, labor will say no. No, you cannot sack workers.
That would not be a condition.
So
that's why we are starting with dead-end refineries now.
Yes, when they wanted to set the refinery, they will be the ones to say no, because they believe that some of their staff will be asked to go.
Yeah.
So they will lose their jobs. So it's a good thing to start giving an idea of what they need to pay workers. But 200,000 It's not. I think it was TUC that first suggested this 200,000.
Yeah, it's been floating for a while.
It's not. It's not realistic.
That's their benchmark.
Without having to restructure, there's no way anybody will accept.
All right.
200,000.
We'll take this break. When we come back, we'll talk more. It's still Journalist Hangout. We'll be right back after this time out.
TerraQ, unwrap joy, unleash taste.
In today's world, our lifestyle, both at work and at play, depends on connectivity. Our connectivity depends on the devices that make it possible, and these devices depend on electric power. When power fails, our life shrinks, our work drops, and our joy dips. JRB Solar Energy Systems are here to ensure that we enjoy uninterruptible power, uninterruptible joy. Whether you're running a business, an institution, or just a home you return daily to rest, JRB has got you covered. No project is too big for our super digital inverters, long-lasting batteries, and efficient solar panels. Go, dream on, change your world. JRB Solar Inverters, batteries, solar panels, solar streetlights, and more. Telephone 0906 752 1111. Email sales@jrbsolar.com. With JRB, the sun's gonna shine on everything you do.
Thank you for staying with us. This is Journalist Hangout, and before we went on break, we were looking at the proposal by Comrade Joe Ajero for $200 minimum wage. That's approximately 200,000 naira. And Jide, 200,000 naira, the market today. First of all, do you notice that the bag of rice is going up?
Yeah, it will go up because we are not producing enough, and we have banned importation of rice through the land borders. So we are not producing enough. That is part of the reasons I quarrel with the Anchor Borrowers program, because a program that had such quantum of money set aside for it should achieve one goal,
Surplus.
which is to drive down prices. If you do not achieve the goal of driving down prices, then the program has failed. How do we pump so much money into the program to ensure that farmers are able to produce more cassava, more rice?
More millet.
And what we have is a situation in which the prices are going up. It must mean that something is wrong. And you know, last year, Olam is the biggest rice producer in our country. They lost their big rice farm in Nasarawa State to flooding. People said at that time that this will definitely affect, yes. And it wasn't Nasarawa alone. You go to Taraba, many people lost their rice farm. There's no way. Yes. There's no way it will not affect us. That kind of flooding is a big threat to food security. The kind of flooding that we had last year that led to loss of hundreds of thousands of our people. So there would always be repercussions for this kind of natural disasters. So I believe that's partly to blame. And then the insecurity. If people can access their farms, what will happen? Production will go down. There's no way it won't go down. So government needs to address what is at the root of this problem. Rice is the staple food that majority of Nigerians consume. Even people who by their age should not be eating rice, they are still consuming rice voraciously. So we have to find a way to stimulate greater agricultural production to the point that we can talk about feeding our people without resorting to importation. Since we are no longer setting aside dollars for rice importation, we have to rely on rice that we grow here. We've made some progress. You see some Nigerian rice, you won't even believe in terms of the packaging. You won't believe that it's Nigerian rice. But we are not producing enough. If we were producing enough, there's no way the price will be going up. It will come down. Just look at it. During the rainy season, tomatoes, their prices go up sky high. But as soon as the rains go, you see that the price will come down because there is greater supply during the dry season, than the wet season. So if we can produce rice a lot more and we stop deceiving ourselves with phantom pyramids, with rice brought from neighboring countries, we will be able to feed our people a lot more. The supply of rice will improve and the price will naturally go down. That is just the truth. What was that show off for?
No, it's to feed your, if you can't feed your mouth, you can't feed your eyes.
It's just meant to deceive Nigerians. You just deceive Nigerians, give the impression that you are working.
It's unfortunate.
So how do you, let's say 200,000 naira, and we talk about the private sector now. So can they afford?
No, that's a no-go there. Because already the burden is on the productive sector, and they are dying slowly. The cost of diesel, the cost of, now you want to top it with the cost of manpower. So it would have been simpler to simply go and start importing, which most of them are doing now anyway. They are closing shop and moving to importation of goods and services. To me, that's why the 200,000 naira
can't make ends meet.
It's not possible because the cost of energy alone is enough to kill us. Most small businesses are dead.
People are not even buying.
They are not. They don't have
people are not buying.
Purchasing
so they are
power.
not selling. They are not. The purchasing power is shrinking.
Yeah.
And because of that, a lot of them can't really make profit because demand has gone down drastically. Some are adjusting in a way. They don't want to raise prices, but they are reducing the quantity.
The content,
Yeah. You see, that was how the idea of all those small Maltina bottles came. That was how the idea of smaller Coca-Cola bottles. That was how the idea came, because you still want to be able to sell to people. But these people
can't afford
any increase.
Those of the picnic.
If we increase your output, or the volume of sales that you will record will go down.
Don't forget that just last week, one of our breweries.
I have Solomon Dada on the line from Alagbado in Lagos. Yes, Solomon.
Yes, sir.
All right, go ahead, please.
Okay. I want to contribute to the discussion being going on.
All right, please do.
So, instead of government distributing to state governors and alleviating the poverty that is being prominent here, I've never witnessed its type, why not utilize the money to import common thing, the rice that everybody in Nigeria is consuming on a daily basis? So import that rice temporarily, pending the time when the agric, whatever thing we have invest on agric, we've been investing. So to import rice, it was done in 1976 during this Murtala. And equally it was done in 1979 during Shagari. So the import rice, everybody will be a beneficiary, not the one that they will give to state governor. The state governor will never hear anything about it, particularly for this Lagos State now.
Thank you, Solomon. Thank you. Julie, we have, like Lagos State now at Imota. I think before the end of this year, they are going to commission a very, very big.
I think Buhari commissioned something there.
Factory, and we have it all over the country right now. So we are doing well in terms of local production, but Solomon is asking for importation, mass importation.
We are not producing enough.
We can't produce what we consume.
Feed, yes.
Even at the best scenario.
We are not producing enough. That's one is a fact. Yes, we have a lot of integrated rice farms springing up here and there. More people have shown interest in rice production and all that. But the demand is far higher than what we are producing. We need to, even the rice production, we need to introduce technology to help us stimulate greater production.
Greater yield.
Because the way we are going, a lot of our people are still smallholder farmers. We need greater investment in that sector to stimulate production, and inputs too. They need to make inputs available for farmers, you know, high yield seedlings and all that will help to stimulate agri production, and we'll be able to feed our people. I agree that we shouldn't spend scarce
resources,
forex, importing what we are capable of producing. We are a blessed country. Just 2 states in Nigeria can feed the whole of this country. Rice. Just 2 states. But what do we have? We are not doing enough. We are not producing enough. Maybe by the time Lagos comes fully on stream, it will help to a great extent. But honestly, we are not producing enough. We are not producing enough. There is still a lot of smuggled rice coming in spite of all that.
That's why it's expensive.
So still, we are not producing enough. And I'm sure the imported rice is cheaper than
somebody was
rice.
talking about 47.
Bring in rice from
Kutonu,
for example. Bring in rice from Kutonu and see how much. That's why people are ready to die to smuggle rice from Kutonu into Nigeria, because of the price. The price is cheaper than the one we produce here. You know?
And the customs are more allowed to season it in the markets than stopping it at the border. Anyway,
their power doesn't extend to that.
You know, they go to Songo now. They raid the Songo market regularly.
It's wrong. It's wrong. I remember this senator from Osun State, who himself was a very senior custom officer.
Okay.
He told them that, look, it's wrong. You have no right to be going into those markets to raid. You know, sometimes it leads to loss of lives.
And there was a year we lost our generator because customs officers were chasing the smuggler, and they ran into our transformer. 6 months in darkness, and they ran away. The man died immediately, and because officers just drove by. I would reported it and nothing happened.
If you see the level of smuggling in Katsina, I was in Katsina, you'll be shocked.
Yeah.
Because they know the alternative is cheaper to what.
No, a vacuum must be filled. It's the law of nature. So something must fill it.
All right. And finally, the reactions following the release of academic record that of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu by Chicago State University is far from dying down. The former chairman of the Nigerian Bar Association, NBA, Olisa Agbakuba, SAN, said he's ashamed to see lawyers on national television arguing on merits or demerits of the matter. The senior advocate of Nigeria expressed displeasure with what he described as the cacophony of discordant voices surrounding the controversy, saying the Supreme Court should be allowed to do its work. Jide? The politics has been heated in the last 2-3 weeks over this back and forth on
Especially
this.
the last week.
Syndicate saga, man.
Yeah. You know, Agbakoba, I'm happy that Agbakoba has seen the light because the 25%,
Terminated from
the
him.
needless and ridiculous argument over 25% of Abuja. Agbakoba was one of the big figures behind that thoroughly needless argument. The feeling that one small part of our country is superior to the rest of our country, and you can't even give us the parameters. Because it's not commonsensical to think in the first place that Abuja's votes are superior to the votes of Kano, to the votes of Kaduna, to the votes of Lagos and other places.
That would be chaotic.
How do people reason like this?
Recipe for...
I mean, what kind of thinking went into coming out to say somebody must win Abuja, must score 25% in Abuja before he can be president? You didn't sit back to ask yourself that, does it mean if he scored 25% in 35 states or 36 states, because it doesn't have Abuja, does it mean he's not qualified to be president? When people are held down by primordial sentiments, by hatred and all that, it hampers their capacity to think constructively.
Objectively.
No. They will not be able to think. They will not be able to engage their brains constructively. How do you come up with 25% of Abuja that somebody must score it to be president? There is no country in the world where such stipulation is handed down. No country. I've asked them, they should tell me what countries makes that kind of stipulation. Even in America, the grandfather of democracy, the big states, New York, California,
so
you may not win them and you will still be president.
Yes.
For example, the Republicans have been winning presidential election without even getting close to winning California or winning New York. Who will let them win New York?
largest.
Will the Democrats open their eyes and let Republicans win New York? How? In what age? So we bring all kinds, and when this thing, those of us who are not lawyers, we came here, we said this thing is
Common sense.
is not, it makes no sense to think like this. We told them, you see lawyers that we respected. They came on TV and continued to, because the person that they were targeting, they knew he didn't get it. But he got what they didn't get. He won in places where they didn't even come close to doing well. Because he didn't score 25%, they held on to it. Okay, this is it. And the whole intention of the Constitution was twisted. When we were telling them, they didn't listen.
They were looking at
But the judgment came, you saw how initially they kept quiet. And you know, let me tell you, Ayo, the best lawyers in this country, they don't go on TV to boast. They don't boast.
How do you see them?
They don't boast. It's people who are incapable of winning even in significant cases. They are the ones who go from TV station to open their mouth wide. We know them now. Even some of them, the way they talk, and the illogic coming out of their mouths, you will know that even if a layman, somebody who did not read law, confronts them, he will defeat them. Because you even ask, where did this one read law? Which law school did this one go? Which university trained this one as a lawyer? When you hear them talking, the bias has enveloped them. Bias has baptized them. And they are incapable of a constructive and healthy argument. You see that bias oozing out of them, like this thing, like
Paul.
my mind was going to the ozone layer. So look at the situation. A sensible lawyer knows that once a case has been filed, you don't go on TV and talking about it. When we brought
WK,
when we brought Akintola, SAN to discuss the Kano judgment, he said, I'm appearing here for one reason, because the appeal has not been filed. If the appeal had been filed, you will not see me here. These are lawyers who respect themselves.
Go to court, as in they've won, they are veterans in the electoral battles.
Akintola, I mean, he's a record-setting lawyer. He was the one who handled Oshomole's matter. And Oshomole became the first, I mean, it became the first time a governor will lose his position, you know, will lose his seat through the courts. Later on, people like Peter Obi too benefited and all that. So he said, I would not have been here if not because the matter had not been filed. But you see people, you see lawyers going from this. Come on. And you are not. So now Agbakoba, who himself was guilty of the same crime, is now saying, I'm ashamed, I'm very angry, I'm ashamed of lawyer. MBA president should descend on lawyers who are doing this. I'm happy that Agbakoba has seen the light. But people will point to what he did too, with the 25% thing and how they fouled the atmosphere with the baseless argument that they were coming up with.
This particular TFC certificate saga has heated the politics, JKB, the last 1 week, and a lot of interpretations.
Yeah, and a lot of
people will interpret.
Everybody has become Supreme Court.
Yes, the way they the way they want that will suit their purposes, and if you go online, you'll be shocked what you see online.
Oh, I even stop discussing the matter with people because logic is being turned upside down. And once you know that, you're just wasting your time talking to preaching to the choir, as it were. Two things I've observed. People will take a position that is illogical and will twist it around in such a manner that you wonder why they went to school. Number two, once the case is filed, it means that you no longer have the rights to comment on it. Why not wait?
I won't predict.
If you have a good case, sit down, get a bottle of snaps, enjoy yourself. Or if you know you have a bad case, then you normally will now take it to the court of public opinion.
You want public opinion to
decide so that you now so why did you now lose?
The judges.
Why you now lose? Now say, I told you now. I told you they will do this. When is this common sense that 1 + 1 would always be 2? To not be 2.5. To not be 2.8, to be 2. And that's why the man was very concerned, because lawyers are making public nuisance of themselves all over the media. Especially some TV stations, and you wonder, does this person know the law at all? Because in most cases, the point they are making is the point already before a court of law, or points already been decided by the lower courts.
It's one lawyer.
Yeah.
We have some very ridiculous lawyers in our country. I'm sorry to say. I'm sorry. And
grandstanding lawyers.
Grandstanding. This is the same country where some people whose names were not even found on the list of law graduates in our country. They too will be forming
a lawyer.
They will reform, say them be lawyer. This is what we are seeing. Those ones too will go and be arguing and this and charge and bail lawyers. So people merely help people. And
our colleagues will also
write affidavits. They help people to fill affidavits. They too will be boasting that they are good at law. But as I've said, those good lawyers, we know them. You won't even see them going from TV station to TV station.
Why can't you wait?
The matter, the way it is best left for the Supreme Court to handle.
It's in their courts now.
Yes. Atiku knows what he's doing. He knows he has lost
final battle,
and this looks like his good night from Nigerian politics. So he's doing whatever he can to muddle the waters. One of his spokespersons claimed that TVC, they don't allow opposition. And I'm like, what is this one smoking? the other day, just this past week alone, the lawyer to Nasarawa State, the candidate of the governorship candidate of the PDP, was here. Back to back, we had Kachiku of ADC. We brought him. This same allegation, even the NBC made that allegation to us, and we sent them a list of the guests that we have brought to TVC since May. Those guests were in the realm of like 65% compared to the ruling party. And we brought Labour. The woman who is their spokesperson has appeared on Standpoint, appeared on Yori Folani's program. In fact, on a particular day, when we had the live, I brought her back because I knew they would go and say, they didn't allow her to appear again. I brought her back the next day when there was no live, and she appeared on Yori Folani's program. Peter Obi, I wanted Peter Obi on the show. I even called Shagari, Somna Sambo. I said, can you get me Peter Obi? He said, Peter Obi doesn't want to appear before. I said, why will he not want to appear before? We are not masquerades. We are not holding a whip. And at TVC, we don't intimidate the guest. We don't put words in the mouth of the guest.
They're not barbarians.
They're not on trial.
We don't put them on trial. This is not a law court. And it is not a police station where you take statements.
I saw one this morning.
We don't play to the
that. We allow you to speak. Do you remember before the election? What's his name? Dino Melaye. We brought him. He was even challenging me to swear with the Bible on air. And you will say we don't allow opposition. We brought Dele Momodu. Dele Momodu too spoke here. We've been bringing people. The candidate of the PDP in Kaduna, the one that they says looks like me, is Ashiru. We brought him. He too. I don't even know all of the different people. And you will still say without shame, without evidence, you will say TVC, they don't bring in opposition. Opposition have been appearing by far more than APC people on TVC. I can't sit here and call myself a professional and be in charge of current affairs programming and I won't allow opposition to come. How will that happen? It's not going to happen.
On this, Bakuba now is now saying that, look, it's time to wait for the Supreme Court.
Yeah. And because the old system did not work, the one they did before, eyes on the judiciary, putting up billboards, the judges reacted appropriately. Not only did they lambast those shenanigans, they also let it show in their manner that they're also human beings.
They were hungry.
And they were angry and they showed it. And so if anybody has just an out of common sense, realize that.
They showed it, but they still followed it.
They followed the law. But they let them know that they know that this is the game they were playing.
It's wrong, yes.
That to me is fun. I think that's what I'm
even the noisy minority. That's what
very tiny, very tiny.
Because you can easily be misled to think, oh, this is what the public wants. And I keep talking about my people in the north, where I was born and raised. They don't make all this noise.
It's not
how many northerners have you seen
on the social media
praising Atiku and saying, Atiku, yes, go ahead. Morasi, and all that. No, they have no such time. But when it comes to voting, you will see them, they will outvote you. Their political culture is stronger than that of other parts of the country. They don't need
to come and make
too much motivation to come out on election day.
Election day.
I've seen that happen.
Yeah, so.
When I was living in Kano, you just see people on their own. They see it as a responsibility. They'll come out and vote. You don't need to give them money to come out and vote.
Unlike some
Lagos, 7.5 million registered voters.
I don't know why people register when they are not going to use the card. You are not ready to vote. You register.
They will stay at home
and collect the voters card. You put it under your bed.
No, you put it in their card.
Kano will always outvote Lagos.
Kano.
You may have more registered voters than Kano, but they will outvote you.
Anything. The mobilization will be high.
The political awareness.
You know the old Yoruba saying.
Okay, we have to go.
I don't want to say the Yoruba because people are if they accuse me of saying Yoruba on this program. The last song a deaf man heard is the song he will sing till he die. So these people will not.
Thank you.
So just do what they do.
BKO. Thank you for today's edition. And that's our offering today. Join us tomorrow for another episode of the program. You can watch the repeat broadcast tonight at 11 p.m. Join us this Sunday from 1:30 to 3:30 for Journalist Hangout on Sunday. We're on YouTube, youtube.com/TVC News Nigeria. I'll see you tomorrow. I'm Ayodele Uzuba.
Bastion HMO.
Thank you. Now that was my health insurance partner. Yeah, I was just as skeptical as you were.